and take it away.
Okay, so today my topic is, as I said, the art of nature. It says it there. And the reason I chose that is that I have this great fondness for writing poetry, and everybody knows how much I love taking pictures. I do it incessantly, and I like to paint. So I thought that this would be something that I could share with the group. Um, and the picture I'm showing you first is at Buckhorn Island State Park in Grand Island, New York. It is a restored wetland. There are marshes and there are swamps, and it's just really attractive. I was planning on taking some more pictures this summer to share with the group. Unfortunately, um, there were some serious tick issues, and ticks are not my friends. So I decided, no, that's not happening. So anyway, um, this is all about me. This is what I do. Actually, updated. I said I was a freelance reporter and photographer, and I just on Friday I was offered the job of editor of the local newspaper. So that's an upgrade. I live in Grand Island, New York, which is in the beautiful Niagara River between Buffalo and Niagara Falls. And I have a blog, and I'm going to put the blog address at the end as well, so you'll be able to see that. And of course, I can send out all the information via email. So every season is really, really special. I have to say, though, that spring is probably my most favorite season because, as Christina Rossetti said, spring is when life's alive and everything. So for me, everything becomes like new. Life becomes reborn, and it's really quite an amazing sight. Um, and it's quite an amazing feeling because after a long winter, when everything's very monochromatic, you get these little bursts of color from the ground, and you know that it's time for rebirth. And in fact, the themes of spring are rebirth and renewal, love, hope, youth, and growth. And nature is one of the favorite themes for poets. So, and spring is one of them. So this is a haiku that I wrote that I'm sharing with you, and then I'm going to share with you how to write one, and I'm going to encourage the group to come up with some ideas and write a few haikus either now or you can do so later and send them to me later on. So the haiku I wrote, and this picture was taken near my home um, during, I believe they're cherry blossoms. Um, I just really get so excited about seeing the cherry blossoms in Delaware Park in Buffalo, but this year it was very odd. Normally, the Cherry Blossom Festival is at the end of April or beginning of May. And in fact, that's when the festival was scheduled. Unfortunately, the cherry blossoms were past their peak at that point because I took the pictures in mid-April, which is very early for cherry blossoms. So stop, smell the flowers, look for the nectar within, pollination time. And as I mentioned, you never know when pollination time is. It's not a time on the calendar, it just happens. So haiku is a poetic form that people like to write because, first of all, it's not rhymed. And sometimes rhyming just is a frustrating activity. I have spent much time on the internet looking for rhyming words. Sometimes, well, usually you can find them unless you're looking for the word orange. But it's a Japanese poetic form. It consists of 17 syllables in 3 lines. The first line contains 5 syllables, the second contains 7 syllables, and the third contains 5 syllables. So one of the most famous haiku poets was Matsuo Basho, who lived from 1644 to 1694. He composed approximately 1,000 haikus in his lifetime. And this is a Japanese Gardens. It's in Delaware Park, Buffalo, New York. And the Japanese Gardens were actually presented to Buffalo as a gift from the city of Kanazawa, Japan, which is Buffalo's sister city in Japan. So that's also very special, and it's quite a great thing for Buffalo to have. So I shared this poem that Matsuo Basho wrote. It's not exactly in the format previously described because when you translate from one language to another, usually something gets a little bit lost, and in this case, it was a format. So as you can see, the poem, it was directly translated from Japanese. Spring is passing, the birds cry, and the fish's eyes are with tears. It's a very pensive poem, in my opinion. I see spring as rebirth, but sometimes rebirth is also a pensive thing. It's a time to like be calm and relax and just experience the moment. Now, this is one of the vernal pools on Grand Island, and so I like to look at them. I like to take pictures of them because they're so ephemeral, and because after a while they dry up and disappear, and you scarcely know they're there. But it's really quite a treat. So this is also the Japanese garden in Buffalo. And I was thinking that if you want to write in your in the chat box, which currently I can't really see, but if you want to write in the chat box, you might want to come up with some ideas for poems, maybe some for haiku images that you would like to put in your haiku. So that might be something to put in the chat box and share just some images that come to mind when you see some of these pictures. So this is another picture I took. Actually, it's right in front of the house I used to live in. I was actually, the bee in the picture was kind of accidental because I was just trying to take a picture of a cherry blossom and I saw a bee land and I thought, oh, I'm never going to get that bee. And I went click and I took the picture and I'm like, oh, hi, bee. So insects, ever since I got into the Master Gardener and then into the Master Naturalist program, I discovered that I really love insects. I honestly never knew how much I loved insects until I got into the Master Naturalist program. And in fact, as a kid, I was really afraid of bees, and I wouldn't have stopped and taken their portrait. But I wrote this poem because I had discovered how much I love bees. So I wrote, insects as artwork represent brightly colored days and dream-filled nights. So then I painted Portrait of Bee, and I was just really happy. It's on a sunflower. It's okay, so that's not a spring flower, but it's just the idea of the bee that I wanted to share. That there is so much you can do. You can write a poem, you can write a story, you can illustrate your story. Nature is always alive, and you can create these images and these words to express your feelings and your opinions. Or if you want to write something more scientific, you could draw images and then write the descriptions beside them, and that's another way you can go about it. So this is I think this is Grand Island. I'm not sure. Um, and then this, I think that I took this when we had our Master Naturalist weekend at Stella Niagara in Lewiston, New York. And that was the same place. That was in Lewiston. They're all very busy looking around. Um, and then this was our one of our evenings. Did the earth catch fire? The sun leaves a parting gift, magic before night. So now we move into summertime. And summer symbolizes freedom and growth, love and self acceptance. So it's all about bright, vivid colors, whereas spring was about mostly pastels. Summer is about more dramatic, vivid colors. So I found this poem online by William Blake, and I thought this really expressed summer. Ah, sunflower, weary of time, who countest the steps of the sun, seeking after that sweet golden clime, where the traveler's journey is done, where the youth pined away with desire, and the pale virgin shrouded in snow arise from their graves and aspire, where my sunflower wishes to go. And there's something really interesting I found out about sunflowers when I was researching them. That the way the sunflower seeds are arranged is like a perfect mathematical concept of, yeah, of the, what's it called? The numbers. Oh, um, somebody else might know that. You get the two, I'm hearing somebody speak, but not really. Um, Fibonacci. Yeah, that's it. The Fibonacci sequence. So it starts with 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, and the previous two numbers add up to the following number. And apparently the seeds of the sunflower reflect that in the way they're arranged. So I thought, oh, that's super cool. So unfortunately, so this is a farm on Grand Island, and this is summertime. And so I chose a different type of poem for summertime. And this is called an octopoem. Chickens quarrel on early morn. Life bounces off greenhouse walls. Farmer rises to start the day. Rabbits scramble in changing light to return to forest safety. Cat on porch nibbles off a tray. Then naps beneath empty farm stalls next to a barn door, old and worn. So an octopoem features an invented syllabic verse. It consists of 8 lines, and each line contains 8 syllables. The rhyme scheme is A, B, C, X, X, C, B, A. So the X lines are unrhymed, and then the other 6 lines have a rhyme scheme. So here are some of the things that inspire me to write poetry. And if you like to, in the chat box, you could maybe post some of the things, some of the images that might inspire you to write poetry or anything you want to write, really. It doesn't have to be poetry. It could be like a story, a song, a picture, anything that inspires you. Just feel free to share in the chat box. But because of my mad love for insects, these really inspire me to write something or to draw. So this was our Master Naturalist weekend, and I and Christy, you're all excited because I made a collage, and this is where this is the hemlock woolly adelgid that we discovered. I actually took a picture through a magnifying glass to get those critters. But these are the things that we saw, and it's very glorious summertime. And these two are things that would inspire me to want to write a poem or maybe a song or maybe a short story. Well, I know they inspired music. The fastest song ever written is The Flight of the Bumblebee. So definitely inspiration there. And this is actually a photograph, and this is a painting um, that I did because I was so thrilled about the vivid colors of the photograph that I really just want to reproduce them in a painting. And when I walk down the bike path to Buckhorn Island State Park, this is a scene I see. There, all this development is really new. It used to be much more of a wild view than it is now. Um, so I really miss my wild view of nature. Um, and then we get into autumn. So autumn um, is symbolized by ripeness and maturity. The autumnal harvest symbolizes abundance, prosperity, and wealth, adulthood, and maturity. So one of my most favorite poets really captured autumn quite well, Robert Frost, when he said, "Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold, her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour, then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay." And I went back to the haiku format for autumn. Um, this was taken, I was on a hike with some on Grand Island with the Western New York Land Conservancy on land that they had purchased. And um, one of the things that I learned is that when the trees fall, um, the fungi grow, and it symbolizes how life is a cycle, um, and all this is part of the cycle of life, and the cycle of life is really another inspiration for poetry. So I wrote here, "A world of beauty, starting to lose its color, autumn's last hurrah." So all these leaves that started off as soft baby leaves in springtime, when the leaves feel like flowers, they it's time for them to fall down and to lose their color and eventually to become part of the soil. So then, because I love bees, I had to have bees for 3 seasons. I honestly I couldn't figure out how to put a bee in for winter. So this is the last bee you're going to see here. Um, the queen bee searches for a hibernation home. The bee needs to sleep. And that might be true for us. I think that we tend to get a little sleepier in the winter, but in autumn, we love the colors. So this is the Margaret Gologly Trail. It's on Grand Island. Um, it's on. It's right behind Assumption Cemetery, and this land was for a long time it was owned by the diocese, the Catholic Diocese of Western New York, and they were looking to sell it. And the fear was that they would sell all this land to a developer and all of this would go. So the Western New York Land Conservancy purchased this land and has been busily putting they built this trail, and they're putting conservation easements on the trail on the land so that it will be in its natural state for perpetuity. So that was really a good thing that happened. Um, they also had purchased the land that we had seen a few years ago. I think it was 2018 in Lewiston, New York. Um, and that was their biggest land acquisition. It's right on the waterfront on the Niagara River, and it's just really spectacular. Um, so so we're in autumn now. One of the things about walking in autumn is it's very quiet. Walking soundlessly, footsteps masked by fallen leaves, and autumn delight. So here are some of the images I was able to capture of autumn, the birds, and all the other things. This one's a painting, and I just passed it, but hey, that's okay. So then the next one is pumpkins. Pumpkins on the porch, winter squash ready to be cooked, October bounty. So now we're going to go into winter. Winter, I have to say, is my least favorite season, but in its own way, it's also really beautiful. It's very stark and can be very monochromatic. And it there's a certain joy in the coldness of winter and the ice and the snow. Um, so winter celebrates harshness and calmness, silence, mourning, death, detachment, and the hope for rebirth. Because when winter starts, um, it's the winter solstice, and that's the shortest daylight hours of the year. But you know that starting the next day, we begin to gain daylight hours, and so there is that hope for renewal and rebirth in the gaining of daylight hours. And so um, this is another kind of poetry that I am sharing with you. It's called waka, or it's called tanka. It's also another Japanese poetic format, and it's closely related to the haiku. It is unrhymed. There are 5 lines in the poem, with the syllable count per line being 5, 7, 5, 7, 7. So each verse has that syllable count. So I found this in allpoetry.com, a Tonka poem, and it says, winter has set in, snow and ice blanket the ground, cold winds blow, freezing, bare tree limbs reach up and out, pleading for spring to begin. So as you can see, pleading for spring to begin is the hope for rebirth, but maybe with a little less patience than would be desirable. Spring comes when it comes, and it's a treat when it comes, but it can't be rushed. So I had shown you this image before. This is what it looks like in wintertime. This is at Buckhorn Island State Park. And I like going there every season because every time I go there, I see something different. It's really just a special place for me to go and to reflect on the world and um, on the peace of the world that we keep hoping for. Because this park is a very peaceful place. So once again, one of my most favorite poets, Robert Frost, um, he wrote about winter, snow falling and night falling fast, oh fast. In a field I looked into going past, and the ground almost covered smooth in snow, but a few weeds and stubble showing last. The woods around it have it. It is theirs. All animals are smothered in their lairs. I am too absent-spirited to count. The loneliness includes me unawares. And lonely it is. That loneliness will be more lonely ere it would be less. A blanker whiteness of benighted snow, with no expression, nothing to express. They cannot scare me with their empty spaces between stars, on stars where no human race is. I have it in me, so much nearer home, to scare myself with my own desert places. So this is another view in Buckhorn. You're looking across the river to Niagara Falls, and this is in wintertime with, there's still vegetation, but it doesn't look that lively, although at some point it's going to come back. And that's winter. And then this is my last page. So I'll leave that up. That's my blog, alicesgrandadventures.blogspot.com, and my email address if you want to get in touch with me. It's walkingtouristalice@gmail.com. So if anybody has any questions or comments or ideas for what sort of poems you'd like to write based on what you've seen or how you feel about each season, go for it. And if there's any comments in the chat that, Chrissy, if you've seen them, if you'd like to share them with me, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you, Alice. Thank you very much. I think one of the pictures was from Stella Niagara where we put the boats in, where the boat launch was.
Mm-hmm.
That brought back good memories.
That was a happy time.
It was. So I see things, let's see. Maybe I'll just ask all of you to talk about, Jill, you had some comments here in the chat box. I think it's things that inspire you. Well, maybe Jill is not here right now, but Jill put the smell before the rain was something. And Mary, how about you? Mary said, sky and water, throw in some clouds. That's inspirational for me. Caroline says, birds are inspirational. Dave Shepherd. Dave, is that your own poetry that you were sharing with us?
Yes, it is. That's a haiku that I did after looking at Alice's winter scenes.
Nice.
Awesome.
That was very quick. You're very good at that.
Well, I don't know how good I am.
Well, it's nice. So Dave
wrote. I
wrote,
like it.
Yeah, if anybody isn't looking
Thank
in the
you.
chat box, he said, the world at rest, snowfall serenely silent till the light returns. Okay. Steve, would you like to share your list of inspirational objects with us?
Well, I just started writing. It was like, I love fungi, and I've got a lot of pictures of birds. And I think I thought, well, creeks and waterfalls are really great, and insects, and fawns and mountains. And I just had no idea where to start because there's so many things that still do inspire me whenever I'm out in the woods. So if there's any number of ones that I could think of that would be really good. I have to admit, I do like, the haiku thing is good, but I like that waka. It's a little bit more. Sometimes I have a hard time getting my thoughts into 17 syllables.
Mm-hmm.
Waka, there just seems like it expands. It gives me a little more chance to develop some ideas. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try that one.
I recommend it because I find that you can say more and you can share more imagery in it.
Yeah. Alice, if I come up with anything good, I'll send it to you, okay?
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay, let's see. Mary Harkala says sunrises and sunsets inspire her.
Mm-hmm.
I like that too.
I like that.
Trix says moths inspire her.
Oh.
That's very nice. Trix, any particular kind of moths or just moths in general?
Sorry, I unmuted. Well, I've had this summer project where I am photographing moths at night. And I've just been amazed. I knew nothing about them really. And I've come up with it at this point about 100 different species.
Wow.
Wow.
It has been incredibly inspiring, this little project.
That's amazing. What are you going to do with it? It sounds so incredible.
I don't know. I've been sharing the one of each species on Facebook, and I've also submitted them. You know, the New York State pollinator study has been going for the last 3 years, and I've been participating in that. So all of the moths are eligible for that, and so I've been sharing it with them. But otherwise, it's just fun.
Wow. That's excellent. Are you on Instagram, Trix?
No,
Hmm.
believe it or not, I don't have a, well, I don't have a smartphone.
You know,
So-
you can do Instagram on the computer.
But you can't submit it. You can't submit. I mean, I have an account to see my son's stuff, but you can't submit it on the computer. You have to have a phone. So.
Hmm.
But if any of you are on Facebook,
I am.
then my you can there's hardly any Trixes, just shaped up in Trix, and I have all of my moths in a folder, a photography folder.
Oh, cool.
Very nice. I will definitely look at it. And I would say also, if anybody's ever interested in sharing one of your photographs with me or Maggie for the Master Naturalist Instagram, I would credit you. But it sounds like there's some incredible stuff out there that you all are doing. And it might be a nice way to share, to share it with others who would appreciate it. Same goes with your haikus or your wakas. If anybody wants to try their hand at something, and we could either credit you or not, depending on how you feel about that. You can remain anonymous or be credited either on Facebook or Instagram.
That would be great.
How would we send photographs to you, Christy?
I think you could just email them to me.
Okay.
And then I'll pass them along to Maggie and ask her to work her youthful magic. Her youthful social networking magic.
That's the truth.
Yeah, I do Instagram, but I do it on the computer.
You do. So you are able to submit?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
post my photographs and little stories on the computer on Instagram.
Okay. Right. Does anybody else have anything to share? That was very nice, Alice. I loved seeing your images and your artwork too. I had no idea.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice. And congratulations on your new job too. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I start the day after